I would say if there was 3 things I would recommend you consider before purchasing your next EDC folder, they would be 1, how much you're willing to spend, the scenarios in which you plan to use that folder, and then 3, consider blade shape and blade material. I carried a folder during my time as active duty, and I still carry one on a day-to-day basis. The most often item that I was cutting through while active duty was 550 cord.
If we're talking about a fixed blade, for what I like, a 90-degree spine is a must for me. Full tang and something that's got a decent choil or guard to it. A lot of people grab a fixed blade and they go and smash it into something like this and their hand slips down and cuts the crap out of it.
That's a bad day. What is going on, people? My name is Austin, and this is the infamous Curran 1776. And today we'll be talking about what aspects we kind of look for in an EDC knife and why. And at the end of the day, it's 100% personal preference. Like I said, I was an active duty guy, so everything, the perspective you're going to hear from is, you know, what do guys in uniform carry? So there's no rules. You can carry what you want to carry. But then Brandon's perspective is an avid outdoorsman, survivalist, hunter, and so his experiences and his day-to-day life is what shapes the types of blades you gravitate towards, right?
Yeah, like you said, we all got different preferences, different use cases. I typically have a fixed blade on me at all times, and it's because of what I do on a daily basis. I live on a small farm. A fixed blade on my hip is very useful. So I got 2 blades here that are the exact same knife. They're just a different grind.
Interesting.
But one's Scandi and one's Saber. The go, no show is what they call it. It's a bushcrafting type knife. And this is a Saber grind. So see how the grind starts way up here and comes down? Yeah. It's not a flat grind. It's like if a flat grind and a Scandi had a baby, it'd be the Saber. So this is a more of a finessing, slicing. This Scandi's more of a splitting, like really moving material, more of a wedge action. Like it pushes material away better because it's more like a chisel effect versus a more flat grind.
When it comes to blade steel, the only thing that I care about is how resistant it is to corrosion.
Right.
My current favorite EDC is the Kershaw Blur, designed by Ken Onion. So the guy just knows what he's doing. He works with multiple brands and designs knives, and everything I put my hands on that has his name on it is phenomenal. So this is my current favorite EDC, the Kershaw Blur, and it has been a phenomenal knife for me. I think B2 is like one of the most popular steels out there because it's very affordable and very hard, and so it maintains an edge well, I believe. But it is one of the more susceptible to rust and corrosion.
Yeah, it's a tool steel. You know, there's different grades of stainless. Some stainless is going to rust. It's more corrosion resistant. It's not corrosion proof.
Yeah.
But my way of thinking is, so for instance, this one's 01 tool steel. As you can see, there's blemishes all on this because I use it, but it's mostly surface. It doesn't get that. You just got to take care of your blades. If you leave a blade around a long time in a leather sheath and it's in and out of temperature changes a lot, that's a bad idea with any steel.
The only reason I know anything about blade steels and the corrosion resistance is because I suck at maintaining blades. And I just know that when I was active duty, you don't know when you're going to be wet and when you're not going to be wet, and you also don't know when the next time when you're going to have a chance to maintain your equipment. So it's important for me to have something that's going to be resistant to corrosion.
And I mean, this is a great example. You can kind of see on that one, it's got a little bit green, kind of a green hue going on there. So like this one, I don't take care of necessarily, right? Because this is my daily beater knife or whatever. But I mean, this is tool steel. It's still usable, just doesn't look pretty.
It didn't have to look pretty to work.
Yeah. So this is the LT Wright Northern Hunter is what this is called. And this is AEBL steel, which is a stainless steel, more resilient than a 01 tool steel, but still easy to maintain the edge, easy to sharpen. Some steels, when you get into like the high end, like super steels and stuff like that, they're so hard, they're difficult to sharpen. Like you really got to know how to sharpen that freaking knife because you can mess it up, or it'll take you forever to sharpen it. But AEBL steel is a good upgrade to a tool steel, but not a super steel where it's so freaking aggravating to maintain it.
Very interesting.
And with bushcrafters and outdoorsmen and stuff, we like to have 90-degree spines so the top is sharp for use with ferro rods. It's ground where it's a 90-degree flat edge, so it's sharp in a way. Like I do not like a fixed blade knife without a 90-degree spine. Some of them, they're rolled the edge, so it's not a 90-degree spine. Some people like that. Most outdoorsmen and bushcrafters want a 90-degree spine.
Yeah.
Because you can also use it to shave material, fine material off a stick for tinder, things like that. If you don't understand what full tang is, metal goes all the way through, it's all one piece. Some knives have a overmolded handle or something like that, and the blade steel only goes a certain distance down it, and then the rest is just the handle material, and sometimes those can break or the metal come loose or something like that. So I recommend a full tang, a true full tang knife, steel all the way one piece. You've got more surface area, you've got more power, you got more grip. You can beat on this, you can baton with it. You don't want to do that, something like this, you'll break it.
You can get a great blade for $70 to $90.
Yeah.
That being said, I would recommend you expend at least $55, $60, because if you get any lower than that, you're just not going to get a quality product all around, and I don't want someone to have a bad experience based off of like that cheap product. Generally speaking, you're going to get what you pay for, and it's worth spending the extra dollar. This is the Spyderco Tenacious, which it retails for like $92.
Yeah,
you can see
that's a nice knife.
The partially serrated edge here, and I like that a lot.
Yeah.
It's also worth being said, like, you know, if I had crazy money and I had like $700 to blow on a folder, you know, I might. I think the most expensive knife that I brought today is currently on sale on Blade HQ for like $103. I don't know if you brought any fancy stuff, but I certainly did not bring any high-end items.
Yeah, I've got some little higher tier. I usually don't do that.
Yeah.
But here recently, I've really been playing with some higher end knives just to compare to some of the lower end stuff. And I wouldn't say lower end, lower price point.
Sure. But you can get a great knife for $70.
Yeah, I mean, there's some differences, but it's minimal in some aspects.
I'm curious to know if you think a $700 knife is worth carrying, because I think personally, if at that point it's almost a work of art, and like I'm scared to use it.
Yeah, for me, I've got a few knives that are expensive like that I've gotten at Blade Show over the years, and they pretty much stay in the drawer, and I look at them and wipe them down and go, ooh, that's nice, and put it back, because I do not want to mess them up.
Yeah.
I've got one here that I haven't used yet because it's so pretty. I don't know if I want to use it, but like this one here is from Malone Knives. I got this at a bushcraft event. Don't know what the steel is. Don't know a whole lot about it. Unfortunately, sorry, I can't, other than it's a Scandi grind. Just speaking on having nice ones that you kind of concerned on using, like this is like some real nice, expensive burl wood, and I don't know, it's just a beautiful knife. I don't want to.
What does that retail for?
Up. I want to say this is in the 300-ish range.
Yeah, I don't think that's absurd, but again, it's 3 to 5 times the price of the stuff that I carry on a daily basis.
Yeah. So I'm more a working knife kind of guy, so I typically don't have super expensive knives because I do beat the crap out of them. However, you do get a little bit better quality and something to beat the crap out of if you spend a little bit more money.
Yeah. I would also say the second thing I would consider are the scenarios in which you plan to use that folder. You know, what do you plan to be cutting on a day-to-day basis? Because that's going to determine like how you carry that knife. Is it going to sit in your pocket, front pocket, back pocket? Is it, you know, all the way in the bottom? Does it need to have a clip on the side? If so, what's the shape of the clip? One knife in particular that I wanted to bring to this conversation because it was the first flipper or folder that I ever carried. It was a Kershaw Leak. I bought it when I was in the summer between my freshman and sophomore year at West Point. But I can't tell you how many other people I came across during my military career that carried the same knife.
Yeah.
It is probably the thinnest profile folder that I've ever come across, and that was why I loved it, because I hate when stuff takes up a bunch of space in my pocket. And it was partially serrated, which is also something that I specifically gravitate towards. Most often item that I was cutting through while active duty was 550 cord, and for whatever reason, having that serrated edge made it so much easier to cut through a little bit of rope.
Yeah, serrations definitely help with cordage.
Yeah,
for sure. So all sorts of cordage. Technically,
the first thing I ever EDC'd was this item right here. I believe it was my senior year, right after I got accepted to go to West Point. Someone was like, "You need to pick up a Leatherman." I was like, "What is that?" And they're like, "It's a multi-tool, and you're going to need it for basic training." And I went and bought this, and I've carried it ever since. So it doesn't quite apply to the same category. Technically, it does have a blade in here.
Yeah, it's got blades in it.
Multiple blades, in fact. But having needle nose pliers is also super valuable. And then I have wire cutters on the inside. This is the Leatherman rebar, by the way, and I love this thing. It's been good to me.
Take care of a Leatherman. It's going to last you forever. Yeah, that one's definitely been used.
Oh, man.
So yeah, good multi-tool.
Can't tell, but there's a lot of rust and corrosion on here, which is my fault, but it's also been rained on more times than I can count.
Yeah.
It's been in multiple countries, multiple, field exercises. I've put this thing through hell, and it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Consider blade shape and blade material. Do you want a partially serrated edge, a fully serrated edge, or no serration whatsoever? Are you willing to maintain that blade or not? Because a serrated edge is going to be more difficult to maintain and sharpen versus a non-serrated edge. And if it's something that's highly susceptible to corrosion, are you willing to do what's necessary to keep that blade sharp and functional?
Yeah. And especially with folders, one thing to consider too is serviceability. Because you keep it in your pocket, you're dealing with lint, you're dealing with all sorts of things that can get down into the little fine areas between your bearing or whatever they're using as a pivot, stuff like that. So you need to be able to take it apart at times and clean it and put it back together. Are replacement parts readily available for that brand or that specific model?
Yeah.
Are you willing to do that? Some people just aren't mechanically inclined enough to even give a crap about taking a knife apart.
Yeah, that's fair.
But sometimes, like this knife right here, I need to take apart and clean because I usually can flip that thing open very easily and drop it down. But see how it kind of, well, it didn't do it that time. It kind of sticks a little bit. So I got some lint and some crap down in there I need to get in there and clean out. Put some
Give that a
in.
flick. Tell me it's not the most satisfying opening mechanism.
Oh yeah.
It's so good.
So that, okay, so this is an assisted opening.
I think is it fully, there's considered fully assisted and partially assisted?
This is partially assisted. So right there it starts to engage. So when I do that, there's a spring in there.
Yeah.
So that's another thing to consider.
Yeah, true, because there's legalities associated
There's legalities in some of that. Some people consider this, some places consider that a auto knife because it's assisted.
Yeah.
They consider this the same as a freaking switchblade in some places, which is stupid.
We've got a friend / coworker that lives in Canada, and the Canadians have very strict policies. I couldn't mail him this if I wanted to.
Yeah.
He's not allowed to have this specifically because you can open it with one hand. And this is a dangerous weapon in Canada.
Yeah. But, I mean, you can just do that. Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. Folders and stuff, where are you at? What can you legally have on your person? I think they can legally have it.
Really?
I don't think they can legally carry it, which is stupid.
That sounds like weed laws here in the U.S.
Yeah,
You can have it, but you can't be high.
You can have it, but you can't have it.
Maybe you can be high, but you can't have weed. I don't know.
You can have it, but you can't have it.
Hope that was informative. Maybe you learned something, maybe you didn't. I don't know everything, so yeah, comment down below if there's something you want to share with us. Otherwise, I hope you found that entertaining. Thanks for sticking around. That's it for now.
Go get yourself a good fixed blade.
See ya. That's it.